1800 hours, Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Farzana Khan. First, the headlines. Prime Minister is directed to well define the limits of all cities to prevent unplanned spread and protect green areas. President says Pakistan highly values its ties with Greece and wants to further expand bilateral cooperation in diverse areas. Foreign Minister has said Pakistan desires to boost trade and economic relations with all European countries under strategic partnership with the European Union. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, all-party Hurriyat Conference has paid glowing tributes to the victims of Sopore massacre and sought immediate international intervention to resolve the Kashmir dispute. Organization of Islamic Cooperation has called for enhanced Islamic solidarity in humanitarian aid for disaster and conflict-hit populations in the Muslim world. The United Nations has called for restraint and promotion of dialogue in Kazakhstan amid widespread protests. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has said the limits of all cities should be well defined to prevent their unplanned spread and protect green areas. Chairing a meeting of National Coordination Committee for Housing, Construction and Development in Islamabad today, he said the government is also going to provide 12,400 low-cost and quality flats to the residents of Kachi Abadis of Islamabad. He stressed the need for constructing commercial buildings on private-public partnership basis in expensive sectors of Islamabad. The meeting was informed that Capital Development Authority and Naya Pakistan Housing Authority will provide subsidy for these flats. All civic facilities will be ensured in these flats, besides keeping the monthly installments at the minimum level. The Prime Minister said so far 38 billion rupees have been provided to the people to build their own houses. Prime Minister Imran Khan said urban development through modern real estate projects like Ravi Urban Development Authority, the Central Business District, Walton and the Nala Leh Expressway are key priorities for the government to expedite. Chairing a review meeting on these projects, he said this is the first time in the history of the country that the dead capital in the form of unused government land is being turned into a valuable asset through these innovative projects. He said these projects will not only create job opportunities but also fulfill the needs of a growing urban population. Earlier, the Prime Minister was informed that the CBD has planned to generate revenue through auction of 7 mixed-use commercial plots in Lahore downtown. Besides construction of Burj Jinnah, which will be Pakistan's tallest skyscraper, construction of 2 premium residential towers at Babe Pakistan and a 500-bed hospital in Pakistan's CBD Square and Walton Road flyover, as well as building a classic aviation museum to preserve Walton Airport's heritage, is also among the CBD's goals. Talking to AJK Prime Minister Sardar Abdul Qayyum Niazi in Islamabad today, Prime Minister Imran Khan said the government is taking all possible measures to take full advantage of the potential in the tourism sector of Azad Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan. He said providing jobs to locals through ecotourism and conserving the natural beauty of these areas is one of the top priorities of the government. President Dr. Arif Alvi says Pakistan highly values its ties with Greece and wants to further expand bilateral cooperation in diverse areas of mutual interest. Talking to the outgoing ambassador of the Hellenic Republic, Andreas Papastavro, in Islamabad today, he urged the need to enhance the bilateral trade between Pakistan and Greece and tap the potential of cooperation in the fields of culture, education and tourism. The president said that both countries have great potential to increase economic and cultural cooperation. Highlighting the efforts made by Pakistan for the promotion of peace and stability in Afghanistan, he said a stable and peaceful Afghanistan would not only bring economic prosperity to Afghanistan but to other countries of the region as well. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi has said Pakistan desires to boost bilateral trade and economic relations with all the European countries and a strategic partnership with the European Union. Talking to Romanian Ambassador Nicolae Goa in Islamabad today, he said Islamabad attaches immense importance to its relations with Romania and wants high-level interactions and delegation-level exchanges between the two countries for strengthening existing relations. The Romanian ambassador assured that he will play his utmost role for further strengthening the bilateral relations of both the countries. Talking to a delegation of Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Islamabad today, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi expressed Pakistan's desire to enhance trade, investment and people-to-people contacts with Oman. He underlined the need for making functional Pakistan-Oman Joint Business Council. He said Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry should also participate in trade exhibitions in Pakistan. Shah Mahmood Qureshi said Pakistan is extending facilitation, including that of online visa, for promotion of trade and tourism. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, the ongoing system of widespread rains and snowfall will continue till Sunday. In this regard, the Provincial Disaster Management Authority has issued an alert about taking precautionary measures to avoid any human and material losses. The PDMA also warned about the possibility of urban flooding in Peshawar. The authority asked all the deputy commissioners to keep tourists informed about weather forecasts at the tourist spots. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the all-party Sujit Conference leaders and rights activists, while paying glowing tributes to the victims of Sopore massacre, have said that the deteriorating situation in the territory warrants an international intervention on the Kashmir dispute. Over 60 civilians were martyred and more than 350 shops and residential houses were gutted on this day in 1993 after Indian soldiers set the Sopore town ablaze. The APHC leaders Sayyid Bashir Andrabi, Khwaja Firdaus, Abdul Ahad Para, Shabir Ahmad Dar, Zamruda Habib, Yasmin Raja, Farida Behenji and human rights activist Muhammad Ehsan Antu in their statements condemned India for committing Sopore-like massacres in the territory over the past 3 decades. Meanwhile, complete shutdown was observed in Sopore today to mark the 29th anniversary of the deadliest massacre. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has called for enhanced Islamic solidarity and humanitarian aid for disaster and conflict-hit populations in the Muslim world. In a statement, the OIC Secretary General Hussein Ibrahim Taha stressed the readiness to channel all its potential to assist the ICIC in its earnest efforts to deliver aid to victims of natural and man-made disasters. In Kazakhstan, 12 law enforcement personnel have died in clashes with protesters in Almaty during unrest in the country. According to state media, gunfire erupted soon after as security forces clashed with protesters who were rallying for a 4th consecutive day. The health ministry said more than 1,000 people were injured during the clashes and more than 400 of them were in hospital. The United Nations has called for restraint in Kazakhstan amid widespread protests. In a statement, spokesman for UN Secretary General Stefan Dujarric said it is very important for all involved in these current events to exercise restraint, refrain from violence, and promote dialogue in addressing all of the pertinent issues. In Palestine, Israeli forces martyred a Palestinian gunman during a clash in the occupied West Bank today. And finally, we have the weather report for you. More widespread rains with snow over the hills is expected in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Islamabad, Punjab, Gilgit-Baltistan and Kashmir, while more rains in upper and central Balochistan and upper Sindh during the next 12 hours. Heavy rains with hailstorm is likely to occur at a few places during the period. And with that, we come to the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.